Okay, so if you see in this picture, so this is the array, and the array here shows 3 plus 3 plus 3, 3 plus 3 plus 3. So there are 3 threes on the top and 2 threes down here. So when we add the 3 threes and 2 threes, when we add these two, it becomes 5. You know that 3 plus 2 is 5. So 3 threes plus 2 threes makes 5 threes. The multiplication equation for this array is 5 times 3 equals 15, where 5 and 3 are factors and 15 is the total, and it is also called product. Okay, so 5 and 3 are factors. Five times 3 equals 15. The multiplication equation says that there are 5 groups of 3, or it is 5 rows of 3. And this 3 represents the size of each group. Okay, for this array, let me make a number bond. The total goes on the top. The total means the total number of black squares as well as the total number of gray squares. So if you see here, the total is 30. So let me check how I got 30. So 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18, 21, 24, 27, 30. So the total here is 30. There are two parts for this 30, right? If you see here, the number of black square is one part and the number of gray squares is the other part. So let me write the number of black squares first in the first part. So the number of black squares I have is 21, and the number of gray squares that I have is 3, 6, 9. I have 9 gray squares. If I add 21 and 9, I will get the total 30. Let me make a second number bond using the multiplication expression. For 30, I can write the multiplication expression as 10 times, so 10 groups of 3. If you see in this array, there are 10 groups of 3. And the part black squares, the number of black squares, if you see there are 21 number of black squares, right? So let me write that as a multiplication expression, which is 7 groups of, so 1 group, 2 group, 3 group, 4 group, 5 group, 6 group, 7 groups. 7 groups of, so 7 times. The size of each group is 3, so 7 times 3. Okay? And now let's do for number 9. The number 9, so the number of gray squares is 3 groups of, if you see here, so this is group 1, 2, 3. 3 groups of, so 3 times, the size of each group is 3. So 3 times 3 is the multiplication expression for 9. For this array, I have drawn 2 number bonds. So this is the first number bond. The number bond has multiplication expressions in it, and the second number bond has whole numbers in it. So these are whole numbers. Whole numbers. So the total here is 6 times 2. 6 times 2 represents 6 rows of 2. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 rows of 2. And the parts here, this is the first part, 3 times 2. That means 3 rows of 2. 1, 2, 3, 3 rows of 2. And this 3 times 2 is the second part, and also it has 3 rows of 2. 1, 2, 3. 3 rows of 2. We know that 3 times 2 is 6. And 6 times 2 is 12. So the total, if you see, the total number of triangles is 12. Whereas it has 3 rows of 2, that's the first part, and that makes 6. And the second part is 3 rows of 2, and that also makes 6. So the total equals part 1 and then part 2. I have added 2 parts. When we add 2 parts, we get the total. So for example, if we add 6 plus 6, we get the total 12. So I have added 3 times 2, which is 6, and again 3 times 2, which is 6. So 6 plus 6 gives the total 12. So there are 12 triangles in this array. In number bonds, when we add the parts, when we add these 2 parts together, we get the total 6 times 3. Let me show you. For example, so these are the 2 parts, 12 plus 6. When we add 12 plus 6, we get 18. 18 is the total. So that is what we have done here. 6 times 3. 6 times 3 equals, I've added these 2 parts, 4 times 3 plus 2 times 3. We know that 4 times 3 is 12. We also know that 2 times 3 makes 6. So when we add 12 plus 6, we get 18. This array represents 3 rows of 5. There are 3 rows of 5. The multiplication expression here is 3 times 5. 3 times 5 means 5 plus 5 plus 5. So when we add 5 plus 5 plus 5, we get 15. 5 plus 5 plus 5 means 3 5s in it. So the multiplication equation will be 3 times 5 equals 15. That means 3 groups of 5 or 3 rows of 5 is 15. So this is the first 5, and 5 plus 5 will make 10, and 10 plus 5 will make 15. For this array, we have to find the total number of circles. In order to find the total number of circles, we have to add the number of yellow circles and the number of black circles together to find the total number of circles in this array. So for that, let us add the number of yellow circles first. So yellow circles, let us see the number of rows that it has or number of group it has. This is the first row, 2, third row, fourth row and fifth row. So 5 groups or 5 rows of 3 is the number of yellow circles, which makes 3 plus 3 is 6, 6 plus 3 is 9, 9 plus 3 is 12, 12 plus 3 is 15. There are 15 yellow circles in the array. And now let us count the black circles. So 2 rows of black circles, 1 row of black circle and 2 rows of black circle. So 3 and 3 plus 3 is 6. So there are 6 black circles. In order to find the total number of circles in the array, we have to add the yellow and the black ones together. For that, let me add 7 rows of 3 equals 5 rows of 3 plus 2 rows of 3. That means 7 rows of 3 is the total number of circles in the array, which is equal to number of yellow circles, that is 5 rows of 3, and the number of black circles, that is 2 rows of 3. So let me add the yellow circles and black circles together, which is 5 times 3 plus 2 times 3, which makes 15 plus 6. And the answer we get is 21. That means 21 is the total number of circles. The total number of circles in this array. Find 9 times 3 using 10 times 3. So in order to find 9 times 3, we can use 10 times 3. So let us write the 10 times 3 as a total. And we know when we subtract 1, 3 from 10 times 3, we get 9 times 3, right? So in order to find 9 times 3, we can subtract 10 times 3 minus 1 times 3, which gives the answer 9 times 3. Or else I can show you in the number bond. 30 minus 3 will give us 27. Or in the number bond, 30 minus 27 also will give us 3. So in order to find 9 times 3, we can subtract 10 times 3 minus 1 times 3 and find out the value of 9 times 3. We know that 10 times 3 is 30 and minus 1 times 3 is 3. So 30 minus 3 will give us 27. So this is an easy way of doing math. It's a strategy. So here we have to find 9 times 2 equals what? To find 9 times 2, I'm going to use a strategy 10 times 2 minus 1 times 2. We know that 10 minus 1 is 9, right? So 10 times 2 minus 1 times 2. The value of 10 times 2 is 20 and the value of 1 times 2 is 2. So 20 minus 2 will give us 18. For this array, we have to find the total number of circles in the array. That includes the number of white circles and the number of gray circles. Okay, so the number of white circles is 4 rows of 3. So that I've written here. And the number of black circles is 2 rows of 3. Okay, so when I add 4 rows of 3 and 2 rows of 3, or 4 times 3 and 2 times 3, I get 6 times 3. So the value of 6 times 3 is, so 3 plus 3 is 6, 6 plus 3 is 9, 9 plus 3 is 12, 12 plus 3 is 15, and 15 plus 3 is 18. So the total number of circles here is 18. Okay, so 4 times 3 also means 3 plus 3 plus 3 plus 3, which is 12. And 2 times 3 also means 3 plus 3, which is 6. I've added 4 times 3 and 2 times 3 to get 18. So that the total number of circles in the array is found to be 18. The question here is, an insect has 6 legs. How many legs are there on 3 insects? So 6 legs, an insect has 6 legs, means the size of each group is given and we have to find. So size of each group is 6. That means the parts are given. We have to find the total or the whole. So I have shown this with the help of a number bond where each insect, so this is an insect, insect 1 has 6 legs, insect 2 has 6 legs, and insect 3 also has 6 legs. Okay, so 3 insects will have how many legs? That means the total number of legs that all the 3 insect has is what we have to find. So for that, there are 3 sixes, right? So 3 times 6 equals 6 plus 6 plus 6, which is 18. And finally, we have to make a statement. There are 18 legs on 3 insects. If you see here, the solution has a drawing and a multiplication number sentence, and finally a statement. We are going to find the total number of black squares in this array. Okay, so here there are 2 parts. In a row with orange dots in it, so this is one part, and whole or full black squares, 2 rows of full black squares is the second part. What we are going to do is we are going to add the 2 parts together to find the total. Okay, so let's do it. So the first row of 6 can be written as 1 times 6. And the second row and the third row, so this is the second part of 6 can be written as 2 rows of 6. So let's add the first row of 6 with the second and the third row of 6. So 1 times 6 and 2 times 6, we have to add it together. So in this case, if you see, the 6 is common in both parts. So what we are doing is, we are taking the 6 outside, okay? So in the second step, the 6, since it is common, I have taken the 6 out and kept it outside the parenthesis. If you see this line, the bracket is a parenthesis. Can you see the bracket? So this is the bracket and that is a parenthesis. parenthesis. So parenthesis, that's a bracket. So I've written 6 outside the parenthesis. Okay? So when I take 6 outside, I'm left with 1 and 2. Since I have taken this 6 and this 6 outside, I'm left with 1 and 2. So I have added those 1 and 2 numbers inside the parentheses. Okay, so we know that 1 plus 2 is 3. So 6 parenthesis 3. The meaning of parenthesis here, it is multiplication or times. So 6 times 3, 6 parenthesis 3 makes 6 times 3, meaning 6 times 3. So 6 times 3, the value of 6 times 3 is 18. Okay, so 6 times 3 can also be written as 3 times 6. So that is a commutative property of multiplication. The problem here is 3 times 4 plus 2 times 4. So you have to add 3 times 4 with 2 times 4. Let us see how to solve this. If you see here, the number 4 is common inside both parentheses. So let us take the number 4 outside. So this number goes outside. So that is a common number. So let us take that out. When we take it out, so the 4 comes here outside the parenthesis, and we are left with number 3 and 2 inside. So let us put that inside the parenthesis with the addition sign. The addition sign, which is here, goes in the middle. Okay? Okay, so we have taken the 4 outside and we are adding this 3 and this 2. So with the plus sign in the middle. So 4 parenthesis 3 plus 2 becomes 4 parenthesis 5. We know that 3 plus 2 is 5. 4 parenthesis 5 will become 4 times 5. Okay, we know the value of 4 times 5 is 20. So 4 times 5 is equal to 5 times 4. We know that it is a commutative property. So both the values will be the same and the product is 20.